This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together Short Bite Edition. Thanks so much for joining us. We have a great game that we got over Christmas called Parks. Probably one of the prettiest designed games. In the top 20 of the Board Game Geek or the Dice Tower family games?
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. It is all about visiting the national parks. Beautifully designed.
The U.S. National Parks.
Game, from Keymaster Games. And in this game, you and your fellow hikers are going to be hiking along a trail. And along the way, you're going to be picking up resources, and you're going to be managing those resources to then visit different parks.
Yeah.
And each
in essence, you're using the resources to pay for a park.
Exactly. Yeah. And your different resources, each park is going to take a different combination of resources.
Based on the nature of that park. So if you have
Which is the coolest part about this game.
If you have like an ocean park, like something on the coast, it's going to be a lot of water and maybe a little bit of grass or whatever.
Right.
And then some other park that's like Arches out in Utah will be a lot of stone and maybe, a few other things. Like it's the resources that you're picking up, pertain directly to the park. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's very, very neat. So you have these parks and they're beautifully decorated cards. I mean, the artwork is gorgeous, and each park gives a little bit of information about where it's located and about that park. So there's that nice educational element. This is all about managing resources, and you also get a chance to buy gear that helps you as well. So you get to buy binoculars, which make something cost one less tree, or, there's different cards that you're going to get to buy.
There's this dynamic that we talk about a lot of times. It's called the engine, especially in these resource games where you are acquiring resources. You're using those resources to buy an end thing, which may be the park, but you could also buy other things like gear, as you said, or I think the canteens was another thing. And these, if you buy those things, they allow you to do more as the game progresses. And this generates, in essence, an engine for you to gather even more resources. So you build a stronger and stronger engine, and at the very end of the game, you're getting a lot of resources, and you're buying a lot of parks.
Exactly.
But at the beginning, you're just getting a few resources, and maybe you'll buy a park every once or twice, and then by the end of the game, you're buying 2 or 3 parks at a time. And This idea of an engine building over time is a dynamic that is pretty much in a lot of board games that we've recommended and we've talked about, especially
I love engine building.
Not at the children's level. This would be more of an adult level game. Older kids, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 type of range, that type of thing. I don't know if you'd play this with like a 6-year-old. It might be a little too complex for them.
Yeah, I think it would be much too complex. It says on the game that this is ages 10 and up.
Yeah.
I think that's probably accurate. I think that you could play this with a game savvy 8 or 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Definitely. This game is for 1 to 5 players, so there is a solo variant. Mm-hmm. And it says 40 to 70 minutes. I think that's probably pretty accurate. This is a longer game.
It's a little bit longer. We've played it when we've played it together. We've talked about this in the past, where there are sometimes people who agonize over decisions when they're making, decisions within a game because they want to make the best decision. We tend to not do that very much. We say, okay, here's a couple decisions I can make. I'll pick this one just to speed the game along. And for us, the game did not play very long.
No, I think we were able to play in like half an hour because we did make, good decisions.
But it could easily go long if you have somebody who struggles in making decisions.
Right. And with 4 players, it definitely takes more time. One of the unique things, you have a trail set before you, and you're moving down that trail to collect resources, as we said. But one of the unique things is that you're not rolling a die to determine how far down the trail you move. You get to move as far as you want to move. Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting, but you can't go back. So once you've moved...
It's got the Mario effect.
Yes.
You can only go so far.
You can only go so far, and you can't go back. So you have to kind of make some decisions, and you can't be on the same trail spot as another player. Mm-hmm. So except in some special cases. But so you're kind of there's some strategy there in how far you're going to move, and whoever it gets the end of the trail first has some special advantages. So you kind of want to be first to the end of the trail, or
kind of not want
first-ish, but you also want to get all these resources. Yeah. You're able to take pictures too along the way, and there's some other really cool things. But overall, this is about managing resources and making those strategic decisions.
And the game is built around rounds. And that trail that you have out, say it's like 6 tiles long, and there are additional tiles that will come into the game every round. So it'll continue to get longer and longer. And eventually when you run out of tiles.
And change configuration too. It changes order.
It shuffles every single time. So it doesn't necessarily the same order as you said. Yeah. And so the game board every round is different. So you have to like kind of react to that. And then you have to play whatever strategy you're trying to achieve within your hand. You have to then try to figure out how you're going to achieve that in that round, and then the next round will be completely different, and a new tile will spawn, which will have additional resources and additional capabilities. So
right, once one person buys a park, it's no longer available. So you could be moving down the trail, collecting your trees and your mountains and everything, and thinking that you're going for that one, and then you beat me to it, and all of a sudden there's like three parks available to purchase at any time. So there's parks and there's gear,
pictures, and all that stuff. Yeah.
There are some wild tokens too. I love this game. Has all wooden components.
Nice meeples.
It's beautifully done. And the wild tokens that count for anything are all actually different animal meeples.
Yeah.
So there's like an eagle and there's a buffalo. There's all kinds of different. Yeah. It's really fun. This is just such a beautiful game. It plays wonderfully. I think this is going to be one of our favorite family games going forward. We've only played it like 3 or 4 times now, so we haven't played it a ton because we just got it for Christmas. But we wanted to talk about it because I think this one has longevity. Yeah,
this one has playability, especially in the homeschooling space. If you are an outdoors family, if you enjoy going to a lot of national parks, if that is a thing for you, this is a cool game to get that kind of dovetails with your existing interests. If you're an RVing family that likes to go to different parks, this is a game you got to put in the camper because it's not only beautiful, but it embraces the theme with the gameplay. Yeah. And I think that's a great thing. We've talked about Wingspan as well, which did that wonderfully with the birds and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we've actually talked about Wingspan on the podcast yet.
Maybe I think we've mentioned it a few times.
Maybe we'll do that in future because it is also really great and educational.
Yeah, it's a game that is educational but also embraces the theme, and I think that's the crowning achievement of this game.
We own a lot of board games. We've talked about a lot on here, and we own a lot more that we have not discussed on here. A lot more adult board games. I think that out of our whole collection, this is one of those ones that I kind of see in our collection, like ones that, eventually we'll probably move on. We'll give them away. Or when our kids are grown, if they want to take that game with them to their family, we'll be okay with that.
Exactly.
This is one of those games I don't know that we'll ever get rid of. I think it's a game that we would play into our old age. It's so solid and beautifully made, and
it doesn't feel overpowered either. There's a couple different avenues you could play strategy wise, and since there's the dynamic element of the trail being updated every single time you play, it just has that feel that it's always new. Every single time
tons of replayability.
Yeah, tons of replayability. Yeah.
And there's so many different national parks, and there's so much different gear to get, and it's just I think there's an expansion for this game, which we'll probably get at some point because I think that this is such a keeper. This game is just terrific. We recommended a lot of games, but if this sounds at all interesting to you, I think this is an absolute must pick up because we've just really loved this game. We've loved it with everybody we've played it with.
Yeah, we've played it with a few people, and the people we've played it with were also surprised at how enjoyable it was.
Yeah, it just surprised. It's such a quality game, and it's such a neat mechanic that no part of this feels like it wasn't well thought out.
Exactly. So parks,
beautiful.
Wonderful.
Go out and get it.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
happy homeschooling!